cold out here today. Got to get the gloves on. I'm going to give it a little second before I get into an update on the state of emergency. I'm going to kind of set the scene so we can let people join the live feed here. Anyways, this is I'm sure the contrast is a little bad, so sorry about that. Over my side here, Allison will pan over. Over here, this is Pike Street, and so this is coming out of downtown Goshen, coming down towards to head out of town on 33. Look at that beautiful blue sky. I haven't seen that in a few days, so it's nice. So come back this way. Over here, I don't want us to fall in the water. This is Rogers Park. This is, if it floods in Goshen, it starts to build up here. The water will rise. The pavilion, the bottom of the pavilion's covered. And so we're used to that during typical flooding here in Goshen. What we're not used to is last night when I drove by, it was up to the bottom of the roof. So let's zoom in again, Allison, or we don't have to zoom in, but let's go over there and look. It was up to the bottom of the roof over here yesterday. So it's come down a couple of feet. I was at a story there this past summer, and I was standing in there, and I mean the roof is another 3 feet above me, so that shows you how deep that was, how deep that water is. I'm almost 6 feet. I'm gonna stretch it there, but that's how deep that water is. This is Rogers Park. It was completely submerged. It might be a little redundant, but let's go. This is Pike Street now, and we're at a little strip mall, and the damage is hard to see as you go through town here because it's inside of places like this. It's not horrible. It's just some things that are strewn across the floor here. So we're going to come down this way. Mr. Hanzeiger, thanks. Not sure on the total number of families that are displaced. Some people have stayed in place and some people have left. There's been about, on both streets, there's maybe a dozen homes on each street, so it looks like there's about 2 dozen. So it seems there's about 2 dozen to 3 dozen homes that are affected directly by the flooding. But then there was a guy we talked to. He was about half a block away, and he had 2 sump pumps going. He still had about 4 inches in his basement. So even if you weren't directly under this water like this here, they still had flooding problems in their basement. People like me, I live up a little bit higher, so I was very lucky. It's a tale of two cities almost. If you're not in this flood area, you wouldn't know. Especially with the sun coming out, it's gonna seem like a normal February day, especially when it's cold like this. Let's head over and go give you an update on the traffic situation here. All right, watch out your step there, Allison. So this is Pike Street coming from behind me here, going across. This was closed yesterday. They stopped the traffic because it got so bad. Wait for the semi to go by. Traffic got so bad coming in because it would go down Chicago, and then Chicago was closed because there was some flooding, so they had to really stop it back over by 3rd Street, for those of you familiar with Goshen. And so things are opening up. I don't know where this traffic is coming from because the street's still closed over there, and we'll go look as we're closer. So come on. But things are moving pretty good now. Pike Street, if we pan down to Pike Street, Allison. Pike Street right now is pretty clear. There's just a little bit of water right there on the road, but it's still closed on the other end. Mayor Stutzman said that the street crews are working on it. They're keeping an eye on all the streets, and when they're passable and ready to go, they're going to go ahead and open those up. We were actually over at the corner of Indiana and Lincoln. Lincoln is still closed, but we were over there on that corner, and a repair crew came through, and they were patching the potholes because they were horrible over at that intersection. I don't know if it's water or too much traffic, but the crews are working on that.
There'll be school tomorrow.
Do I think there'll be school tomorrow? I'm not the superintendent. I don't get to make that decision. I think they've got to see how much the water goes down. Speaking of that, I have my notes here. I talked to Mayor Stutzman about 10:30, and we had a good conversation. It was about 10 minutes, so I won't go through all 10 minutes worth of notes, but he had some good stuff about the state of emergency. He said there's 2 reasons for that. The first reason is for the police and first responders to control traffic. In in my neighborhood, it's not a problem. Some people, they're trying to help people have common sense is what they're trying to do. So Mayor Stutzman said it allows the police officers to write tickets when people don't obey the signs, when they go around things, and so that's one of the reasons why they have it. The other state of emergency, the reason for that is for dealing with federal funds and working with FEMA. We didn't get into a lot of the details of that because I'm sure he could have spent all afternoon informing me about all the steps that they have to go through for FEMA. But he said that right now they're keeping it in place and Goshen's back to normal. We got trains. I've heard those all day. It's so that they can work with FEMA and make sure that they're meeting all the requirements to be able to get as much federal assistance as is needed for Goshen here. So right now, he said this afternoon they're going to meet with Representative Walorski's office, Senator Donnelly's office, and the Indiana Department of Homeland Security to check and make sure that they're following all the rules to work with FEMA. And then also they're working with Mayor Neese and County because Mayor Stutzman said that FEMA doesn't make its decision based on how bad one individual house is. They look at all of Elkhart and take all of the reports, all the damage reports that they have, and put those together to decide how the funds work. So to that, Mayor Stutzman asked me to let people know, so share this, let people know if they have damage before they do any work, before they hire somebody, before they start tearing stuff out. He said that we need to be able to get that damage reported to City Hall. So he said just call City Hall. The number is 533-8621. Call City Hall and just tell them your damage, and they'll go through the procedure with you to get that identified so that we can start working on those federal funds. Some of the other things, so right now he didn't have an end date, and the criteria, they're still trying to understand the criteria for when the emergency order will be lifted. Let's see. Then this afternoon, next steps, I asked them what's next. They're still trying to wrap up, make sure everything's nailed down and kind of put in place where it's supposed to go, wait for the water to go away. And then as that's happening, they're starting to figure out what their next steps are. They're going to have a meeting this afternoon and figure out what their next steps are so that they can continue and best serve people. Right now, the mayor was talking about how they really want to make sure that they're meeting the requirements for FEMA.
How long is the state of emergency going to last?
State of emergency, it's indefinite until Mayor Stutzman and FEMA and the Indiana Department of Homeland Security until they decide that they can stop it. So right now it's still in place. Only essential travel, common sense. Please just use common sense. One of the biggest things was people are still getting stuck in the water using up resources. Those police officers and firefighters could be doing other things than getting people that frankly go through water that they're not sure what's there. We can't see what's in the water. You don't know how deep it is. I've seen cars get stuck out in this water, so the state of emergency, we're not sure on that right now, how long this is going to be. He said that they've had plenty of groups offering help. He said right now they're kind of on hold. They're taking those offers for help, but what they're trying to do is figure out where those people could best be served. He said over the next 4 to 6 weeks, they're going to have plenty of opportunities for people to be able to help out. So if you're one of those groups, contact City Hall, let them know that you're able to help, but then just be prepared that we have to wait and they have a procedure that they need to go through.
Which roads are opening?
Which roads are opening? The ones that we drove around town today, Chicago was closed yesterday. It's open. The city said Indiana, or Wilden in Indiana is open. Pike Street, I'm not a city street person, but it looks really close. There's just a big puddle of water on half of the road, so I'm sure they've got to wait for that so that they can stop driving through that. Lincoln is really flooded. Chicago here by Kroger is really flooded. And Indiana down by heading south towards the middle school, it was still about a half a mile, it seemed like, of water, maybe a quarter mile of water, still really deep. I don't know how we could go through that. So Kroger is over here, and it's still underwater. The water, Allison and I, my camera person here, here's this, can you show us the mailbox? The mailbox yesterday, it was up to the top of the mailbox, or right 2/3 of the way through to the mailbox. So you can see it's gone down about 4 feet. If you pan over just a little bit, Dana J's Deli and chalet, they're not open, but they're in there trying to clean up right now. Can you show Pike Street, Allison? So as we can zoom in, you might be able to see the little barricades, and again, we have cars that are going around, and then they have to drive on the other side of the street, which just really is going to cause problems if they open up the street. So that's probably why they're not opening them right now. So to recap, we're going to wrap it up here because I don't have anything new other than what I started with. The state of emergency, it's until further notice. The mayor is working on it. He's working with state and federal officials to be able to get that figured out so that we can meet all the requirements to get the help that we need here. So hold tight, folks. And second thing, most important, to be able to make sure that we get that assistance that we need here is report any damage. Encourage friends, if they have damage from the flooding, to report it. And then if you're in an area where you're not sure, ask them. Don't waste their time, but ask them and they'll help us figure it out. And so right now we're just waiting and trying to get it all resolved, and contact City Hall if you have any questions. And the mayor said he's really proud of the citizens and all the first responders. He said there are lots of people that went 24 hours on over this. Departments are helping out other departments, and so he's really proud of the way we came together and handled it. We're praying for those people that have damage and trying to help them. Check out the page later today. Allison and I went around. We talked to a couple of homeowners and talked to them about their flooding problems and what that was like. So we're going to have that report, and we're going to show you today pictures compared to yesterday pictures of all the flooding around here. And also, thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. I started this on a lark. I didn't know what I was doing. I used to work for a TV station, and I was like, hey, I want to report on what's going on in Goshen. So thank all of you for sharing these videos and watching and just interacting. I think that this is, the media can't make it here all the time, so we've got to be able to help each other out. And I'm going to have more videos, do some more human interest stories on my page. So like it and watch those videos, and let's get more into the community. So my daughter's rolling her eyes at me, so I'm going to wrap it up here. So anyways, take care everybody, stay safe, and stay off the roads if there's water on them. Don't cause anybody any problems.